I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, and I think it's important for people to kind of understand. Like, we both have been guilty of being slandered in the media in some way, shape, form, or fashion, right? And especially in your position and in my position, social media does so much good, right? Social media does so much good for enhancing, getting the story out. But for me, I think there has been times where it's like, man, I shouldn't have pressed that button. Or there's been times where it's like, golly, I didn't mean it that way. So when you have so much power that you have, right? And from a viewer who's looking at it and I have access to younger kids. I have a 707 All-Star team, which I just partnered with Overtime with, that you help get the word out. Perfect example. And it's like, I'm always reminding them, it's like, bro, you have a following. Do right by your following. And sometimes, we said this off camera, it's like, what puts me at ease is I know my heart. I know my intentions. And I know even with you taking a chance today, I said, Adam, I'm not a journalist. I'm a person who just loves people and loves having conversation. And what could you tell the viewer from the mistakes that you've had and what you've learned from it, and how could it have been avoided in your opinion?
Well, I just think that with that medium, there comes a great responsibility. Mm-hmm. And you have to be very, very thoughtful. And you do the best you can, and sometimes, inevitably, that's not good enough.
Right.
And so you have to just be that much more thoughtful and careful with everything. And you remind it again and again, we're all human.
We all are human.
We all make mistakes. I remember speaking to a couple of people, lawyers or agents, and I'm like, yeah, you ever do something and you make a mistake on the language of it? And they're like, you're right. And I said, and you think about it, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well, guess what? Same.
That's what happens.
In this field. And for 16 years, I was a newspaper writer. Think about this also.
What?
I was a newspaper guy for 16 years. You didn't know that?
No.
Really?
No. And where was this?
In Denver.
Denver. Born and raised in Denver?
No. Born and raised in New York, but moved out to Colorado in 1990 and spent almost 16 years covering the NFL and the Denver Broncos. I moved out there at the age of 23, didn't know anybody.
Right.
And so that's where professionally this started. Of course, went to Michigan and Northwestern Graduate School, but Denver, I always tell people I got my undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan. I got my graduate degree from Northwestern, but I got my master's in football from the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
Being around them.
Right.
And it was different back then. I'd be at training camp be 3-4 weeks at a time.
Right. Real two-a-days.
Real two-a-days. And we were staying in the dorms, and I'd have breakfast, lunch, dinner around the players, around the coaches. You'd be in the same area.
Right.
It just was a lot more personal. You get to know people. It's not like that anymore.
Right. It's more of a business.
It's way more of a business.
I think the person who kind of mentioned how things have changed was my coach, Mike Shula. And obviously his father was Don Shula, and his whole life has just been around the game, And when he was saying, I was teasing him about, just what's cool and what's not cool. I was the inaugural or self-appointed swag coach on the team. And I was like, Coach, nah, we're going to have to find you for that outfit. You know what I'm saying? You coming on the team playing, wear it looking like that. And I would love the conversations that we would have. He would say, man, I remember a time, this league has changed, where at the end of the games, going back to, our respective cities after the game, they used to give you a case of beer.
Wow.
And some cigarettes. And you could smoke it on a plane.
Yeah.
So just imagine 46 to 53 players on top of the personnel smoking cigs, just having a good time.
Well,
but now you can
back in the day, players had to get jobs during the off season.
Yeah.
Their jobs weren't to be football players year-round. They had to go do something before they got back to it. So it just goes to show you how the sport has evolved, changed, grown. The money in it is increased. And so you may have been 5-10 years before your time in terms of the money. Because the money is going crazy for quarterbacks.
That is true.
Right?
That is true. But even then, I always tell people it's like, I got, I was the sacrificial lamb, for so to speak, because my year was the lockout year. The year before, I think, was it Sam Bradford?
Well, so you're right. Oh, so you were the first.
I was the first
quarterback.
The first
contract
person
under
literally
the new CBA, where the rookie wages were limited.
Right.
So that cost you guaranteed money.
Yeah.
A lot of guaranteed money.
A lot. So literally, not just the first quarterback, not just the first
overall pick.
First overall pick. So it affected me the most.
So Sam Bradford got how much? He got about $50 million guaranteed, if my memory serves me correct.
Right.
Your first contract guaranteed was
22.
So that 28 million guaranteed. The new CBA cost you.
Right. And then you had to sign. You couldn't sign after your deal was up. The team reserved the right to sign your 5th year.
Right.
So you had to wait 5 more years, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like here we go. But needless to say, man, I've been blessed. Like this game of football has rewarded me so much.